we are back with another episode of the Modern Explorer podcast. We're actually going to be doubling this as a short little YouTube video as well. But wanted to hop on here today because today is what marks 1 year of me doing full-time creative work. And I wanted to just get into it with you guys and kind of tell you about the story of the past year, and then go into a couple topics that I've been reflecting on and some lessons I've learned over the past year to hopefully help you guys limit some of these mistakes and, catch them on early in your journeys as a creator, whatever it be, even just in life in general. These aren't all specific to the creative life or the entrepreneurial life, but I think it'll be helpful for you guys all in general, whether it's you trying to go out on your own, start your own business, or just like get out and start, doing new things that might have scared you in the past, whatever it be. So to start off, going back a year today, had left my job and was about to head out, or was heading out on a road trip like a day or two later, not really knowing what the future was holding for me. Honestly, I never really planned to do this full time and go out for a year and doing this, but a lot of things led to another, and ultimately ended up making that decision to just go for it and see what would happen. So I went on that road trip out to Utah with some of my good friends. Really, originally was just planning on taking a month or two off from work, trying to build up more of the side business that I had going at the time, and just see if I could get some side income from that, along with, whatever the next role was going to be. So I went on that road trip, was absolutely insane. Just checked off some really cool spots in Utah and Arizona that I had not been to before, and met some great people along the way. And then I got back from that trip and was just kind of sitting around doing some outreach very haphazardly. And then about a week later, another one of my friends reaches out and asked if I want to go on another road trip, basically the exact same route that I had just done. And I was like, you know what, why not? Let's do it. And we went for it, another week and a half or so on the road, again, checking off new spots along the way this time. And yeah, I got back from that trip and I was just like, man, this is super fun to be able to just go out anytime I want to, hit the road, go check out new spots, not really have any responsibility to come back to. And yeah, I was loving it. I came back, was doing some interviews for my next role at the time, which I was still excited about the potential and moving up kind of in a new role in my career, coming out of a sales role and hopefully kind of moving up the ladder at a new company. So, I would say like a month or two went by, and these interviews were going well. I was getting a couple final round interviews, which at the time I thought was going to lead to the next role. And for whatever reason, none of those really ended up becoming anything. And by the time July came around, I was kind of fed up with the whole situation. The more interviews that I was taking, the more I was realizing my heart really wasn't in it. It wasn't wanting to go back to this corporate life. And I just kind of decided to really dive in and take this thing a little bit more seriously. The first couple months going in were really lacking in the consistency and discipline that I needed to be running a business full time. And going back, I wish I had more of a clear set path, or had set more of a standard with myself of what this was going to be, as far as like me leaving my job and just going into it full time. I know that's hard for a lot of people because you want to have that safety net, and that's kind of where I was at. I still wanted that safety net. That's why I was still interviewing for other jobs. And then by the time July came around, I was like, all right, I really need to get going, because I had saved up quite a bit, had got a nice bonus from my past job that I left, but those funds were quickly depleting because I wasn't putting in the work that I needed to be generating for my business at the time. Yeah, July came around and I spent 2 weeks down in Crested Butte and southern Colorado in the San Juans for the wildflower blooms, and it was just incredible. It was when I started the podcast, actually, from the back of my car, and it was just like such a freeing feeling to be spending summer with nothing really holding me back, being able to just have extended period of time in some of my favorite places just to explore, and also work on getting business. And at the time I had started to get a couple of companies that were working with me and doing some small shoots on the side. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely not easy, but I was doing what I wanted to be doing. And then August came around and I ended up getting 2 shoots lined up for the fall. Going back east, I grew up in the Boston area, so I was excited about the opportunity of going back home. And what really sparked this was in early August, I went out to the Tetons with a couple friends, and I got back from that trip just like completely rejuvenated and sparked with inspiration. And I was like, I'm just going to book a flight back east and then just use that as motivation for me to start reaching out to companies and seeing what I can make of it. So I think that's like something that's really helped me, is like just booking a trip. If I have the funds available to book the trip, and then just use that as like, all right, I'm going ham on this section of the country, this region, this state, whatever it be, and being like, I have to make work happen here because I'm going there. And if, I go there and don't have something lined up, then it's going to feel like a missed opportunity. So I ended up getting 2 pretty large projects with RV Share and Turo, the first time I shot with Turo, and then like a couple hotel stays that I just did in trade for. But that was a pretty cool feeling to get some big projects like that lined up. And then when I got back in October, was when I got my project with Travel Texas, the tourism board for Texas. And that was like a huge defining moment for me. Getting that tourism board, that was kind of like the pinnacle for me as far as like defining myself and understanding that I could actually make some decent money from this career. And yeah, I got that trip and went on that trip, and it was incredible. I couldn't believe that it was work. 5 days down in west southern Texas. It's not an easy path by any means. The longer the year has gone on, the more difficult and stressful it's become. But at the same time, when I step back and look at all that I've accomplished, it's pretty wild to see the progression. And I've learned how much work it takes to actually make this happen. And right now I've spent probably the last month just doing no trips, staying here, reaching out to companies, trying to make something work. And we have some stuff that is potentially in the works. It's just gets a little stressful once you're getting down to the line and trying to figure out what's actually going to stick and what's not, but it pushes you to work harder. And after the Texas trip, I got back here to Colorado and just did some skiing in December, and then went down to Sedona, which was another pretty big trip for me as far as like understanding where everything fits in. And that was stressful leading up to it because I really wasn't sure how I was going to make it happen financially. I ended up getting a couple projects which helped fund that, and also like help provide places for me to stay along the way. Then I got back and ended up getting like a part-time job as the social media and videographer, photographer for a van build company here outside of Golden. And that's been huge for me lately as far as getting some consistent income. And it's just a great place. I think it's a place that's growing. And while it's not like fully me doing my business, it's really where I want to be. It's not like I'm heading myself back into like a corporate funnel or anything like that. So that's been super helpful as far as also me learning a lot more about social media and what works and like how to build up a content library for a business on the side. Here we are a year later. Let's get into the good stuff here. Some stuff that I've learned, some topics that I want to discuss that some may be controversial, but I think they're important for everyone to at least evaluate and see where they can maybe fit it in their life. So the first one is just be consistent. Be consistent in every part of your life. The more consistency you have, the better chances are that things are going to line up and you're going to reach those goals that you have set for yourself. As far as a business owner, I think the most important thing is to be consistent with outreach, because you're most likely not going to be having companies just reaching out to you like on the weekly, on the monthly, whatever it be, trying to set up projects. It's going to take a lot of work from your end. And even if you get stuff lined up, don't let that be a signal for you to slack off, because for me, this has been the biggest struggle. Is if I get a couple projects lined up, then I feel like, okay, I can maybe step off the gas for a little bit. And then once I finish those projects, I go back and I'm like, all right, what do I have now? And then it takes time to build these projects and these relationships up with these contacts. So the more consistent you can be with your outreach and follow up, the more likely you're going to have that consistent work lined up for you on a monthly basis. Also, being consistent with social media and growing a following there is super important. I mean, if you're slacking off for a week or a month where you're not posting, or you're really rarely posting, then your engagement's definitely going to suffer from that. With that said, I honestly don't think social media is like the most important thing in this world. If you're trying to grow a business, the most important thing is going to be being consistent with getting out and shooting and finding your style. I think that's where posting to socials is the most helpful, is forcing you to get out and find new perspectives. So the second point is going to be work hard, over deliver, and expect nothing in return. It seems that every industry is extremely saturated these days. So any way that you can differentiate yourself from the rest of the field, the better your chances are of going to be holding on to clients or getting long-term relationships with these clients. And I think over delivering and expecting nothing in return is like probably one of the biggest things here, because you are ultimately just putting yourself in a place that a lot of people aren't putting themselves. I think like, especially if you're starting off and you're doing these trades, like treat it as if it's like the client of your dreams. Like make them feel like you really want this and you want to like build that relationship going forward. Don't treat it like, oh, they don't value me, they just want, free content or whatever it is, because then that's ultimately probably not going to get you business with them in the future, and you never know what kind of connections they have throughout their network. So, if you do a really good job for a trade, one, you could potentially get paid work from them further down the line, or two, you could be reaching out to a company that you referenced that work with, and then if that company goes to the other asking how it was and they have rave reviews, then you're probably going to get a better chance of getting that project. The third thing is keep good people around you and cut the rest out. All right, this is so important because the people you surround yourself with is going to be the biggest factor in your happiness and your growth. Take time to spend with people that make you feel good, help you grow, and care about you, like truly care about you. If you have people in your life that aren't adding anything to it, aren't helping you grow, aren't just like making you feel good, then move on. Like, there's no need to keep those people around. No matter like how long you go back, you have to move on. It's like the biggest key to growth in life, I think. Fourth thing is cut out or limit the booze. So at the start of the year, I decided, at first I was going to limit myself to 2 to 3 drinks a week. And I don't know what happened. I probably listened to a podcast. That's typically how this goes, but I decided to just completely cut it out. So I've been 3 months sober, and it has been such a game changer in my energy levels, my productivity, my health, like just insane. And I think like the biggest thing for this is like we're so used to having a drink after a long day of work and like letting that be a way for us to relax. But ultimately that's going to cut into your energy for the next day and your productivity. And ultimately it's going to cut into your health, both physically and mentally, because booze is helping you like escape whatever issues you have and like avoiding you actually confronting what's going on in your head and in your life. And the more that you're able to address those and find out where you can improve yourself, the better. And booze is just not going to help you with that. Number 5 is going to be very, very controversial. And take this with a grain of salt, I guess, if you're already in a relationship. But this one is don't date. If you're looking to grow a business or just improve on your well-being, adding another person into your life is only going to add another distraction, and it's going to take away from the time that you're able to put into your business and yourself. Set a goal for yourself, like where you want to be, either financially or as a business, whatever it be. And then once you reach that goal, then like go have fun. Like obviously, like we need to have that as part of our long-term life. Like I think another person is like absolutely essential. I'm not saying don't ever date ever, but like get yourself to that place that you want to be first and focus on like truly growing with yourself and loving yourself and understanding what you need before you like go on to another person. So I guess a backstory to this is like I recently got out of something like 3 or 4 months ago, and normally I'm like one that wants to try to like jump right back into the dating scene and just like get something new going. And this time I took a step back, obviously like wasn't drinking, and just took like a long hard look at myself and realized that I was probably putting a lot of people ahead of myself and wasn't truly evaluating like what I needed in my life. So I'm kind of just like letting this year go, like the rest of the year, and trying to focus on bettering myself and understanding what I need first before I try to let somebody else in. Um, so yeah, if you're dating someone at the time, I'm not saying go break up with them. Obviously, like if you have a good thing going, I'm not advocating for you to let that go, but definitely take care of yourself and like understand what's important to you, and make sure that that other person, if they are in your life, values that and understands what you need. And if they aren't, then maybe it is a good opportunity for you to like let it go and work on yourself and find out who you truly are. The sixth thing is limit time on social media. Obviously very difficult for a lot of us creators, but this goes back to a point I made earlier about social media really being like a huge impact on business. Like, yes, get on there, maybe spend like, post a reel or a photo or two a day, and then take some time, like 30 minutes to an hour, to engage with other accounts and, make sure you're supporting your friends and other business owners or whatever, but don't use it as a like distraction from you doing outreach or putting time into the things that are really going to help you grow your business. 7 is take action. So I think a lot of us just like tend to maybe try to do a lot of research or have like the perfect plan in place for whatever it is that we're trying to do. And I think that a lot of this is also like people being afraid to take that step into like the freelance life or like the business owner entrepreneurial life, is like trying to have everything set up to be perfect so that when they step into that new period of their life, like they're just ready to go. And I think the truth is that just doesn't exist. Like you're never going to be ready for that moment. So just like put yourself out there. If you put yourself out there, you work hard, you put in the work every day consistently, then you're going to learn so much more than trying to like research and have the perfect plan set up. Number 8, get outside, exercise. Super important, especially for myself because I need some kind of physical outlet, but just spending time outdoors and breathing fresh air, being in the mountains, whatever it is, going for a run outside, going to the gym. I've been going to the gym a lot lately, and like that's been my release that I absolutely need every day, especially with me not traveling so much, like over the past month. Just being able to have that place that I can just like let myself free is obviously just going to be good for your physical health, but also your mental health. Number 9, value your work. So this is something that I think so many creatives have a difficult time with. And it's tough because there's a recent reel that came out about, your work being an extension of yourself, and putting that out there in the world is scary. And especially if like you just have tough time like valuing yourself as a person, which is a whole nother thing, is actually the next point. But I think you need to like understand, if you're taking this leap into like a new line of work, like your own business, like chances are you're probably in a pretty good place where like your work speaks for itself. your friends, if your friends are commenting and saying, good things about whatever it is that you're putting out, then it's valuable. And I think like we need to stop having uh, this like value for trades in, especially in the creative world, and like also understanding licensing, which could be like a whole nother topic. But if companies are reaching out for like your content, your videos, photos, just to like post, and they're not compensating you, then either one, like make them understand why it's valuable, or just ignore them. Especially like if it's your full-time job, like you're not going to go into a corporate job, sit down, do work for 8 hours and not be expected to get paid. Like it's the same deal now that you're in the freelance world. So please value your work. If you have questions on rates and licensing and stuff like that, like don't hesitate to reach out to me. I definitely feel like this is something that has become more prevalent in the creative community, of being transparent with like what we're charging, because so many companies think that they can just like take your photos and videos without any kind of compensation, and that's just not right. Like you put in a lot of time to edit, take these photos, videos, buy the gear that you're using to make the content with, the time. There's so much that goes into it that there's no way that you should not be getting compensated for it. Lastly, number 10, value yourself. So do activities that you want to do. Don't just like tag along with friends and do activities that don't speak to you and don't get you excited. And if those friends are like consistently taking you out to do these activities that you don't want to do, then maybe find new friends, because you got to be doing stuff that is good for you. I think also like just taking time to reflect on where you are and where you've come from is super important, because in this day and age, we're always looking to the next thing. Like, what's the next thing? What's the next goal? And it gets overwhelming at times, and you have to realize, like, take a look back at where you were, like where I was a year ago, where I was 2 years ago, and see where I'm at now. I think that person would be extremely proud of where I'm at, and I'm sure it's the same for like pretty much all of you guys listening and watching in. So definitely like do that, be proud of yourself. I think we've all come a long way, no matter what path we've taken. Self-neglect and self-doubt are never going to get you where you want to be. So if you find yourself doing this, like, go back to that reflection. Look at all the good things that you have going on in your life, and remember the little things. Like, value the little things in life, because that is what it's all about. All right, that's all I have. Appreciate you guys listening in to this huge ramble. Hopefully there's something helpful in there that you guys can get from this. And yeah, I look forward to trying to make some more insightful content in the new year and taking you guys along on some fun adventures. So, peace out.